In the far reaches of space, humanity had finally taken its first steps into the stars. It was a time of wonder and discovery, but also uncertainty. Earth's technology was still young compared to the advanced civilizations scattered across the galaxy. Despite this, humans were invited to participate in an event known as the Galactic Tournament, a grand competition where warriors from different planets and species came together to showcase their skills, strength, and strategies. The tournament wasn't just about winning. It was a chance for each civilization to prove itself worthy among the stars. The invitation arrived unexpectedly one morning at the United Earth Defense Headquarters. Captain Ryan Cole, a man in his mid-30s with short brown hair and sharp blue eyes, stood silently in front of the large screen displaying the message. He read it twice, making sure he understood every word. When he turned around to face his team, there was a mix of excitement and concern on his face. "This is our chance," he said firmly. "Our chance to show the galaxy what we're capable of." Samantha Hayes, a strategist with dark curly hair tied neatly into a bun, nodded slowly. She adjusted her glasses and leaned forward. "It's also a test," she added. "A test to see if they think we belong out here or if we're just primitive newcomers." Ryan clenched his jaw. Samantha had a point. Humanity wasn't like the other species in the galaxy. While some aliens had been exploring the stars for thousands of years, Earth had only recently begun reaching beyond its own solar system. Their ships were slower, their weapons less sophisticated, and their understanding of galactic politics minimal at best. But none of that mattered now. The invitation had come, and Earth had no choice but to accept. Preparations began immediately. Ryan handpicked a team of soldiers to represent Earth in the tournament. Among them was Jake Monroe, a former Special Forces operative known for his quick reflexes and unshakable determination. Jake's rugged appearance, scruffy beard, muscular build, and piercing green eyes made him stand out even among the most elite fighters. He didn't say much, but when he did, people listened. His calm demeanor hid a fierce loyalty to his planet and a burning desire to prove Earth's worth. As the days passed, the team trained tirelessly. They practiced combat drills, studied alien cultures, and familiarized themselves with the rules of the tournament. Each member brought something unique to the table. Samantha spent hours analyzing data, predicting possible scenarios, and devising strategies. Her mind worked like a machine, always calculating, always planning. Meanwhile, Ryan focused on keeping morale high. He knew how important it was for the team to stay united, especially when facing opponents who could crush them with ease. Finally, the day came for Earth's delegation to leave for the tournament. The journey took several weeks aboard the starship Stellar Dawn, a sleek vessel designed specifically for long-distance travel. As they approached the designated location, a massive floating arena orbiting the planet, Xylophia 7 excitement mingled with nervousness among the crew. None of them had ever seen anything like it before. The arena itself was colossal, larger than any structure on Earth, and surrounded by shimmering energy fields that glowed faintly against the blackness of space. When the ship docked, the team disembarked onto a platform bustling with activity. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the area, their appearances ranging from humanoid to utterly bizarre. Towering Zorakians with metallic exoskeletons loomed over smaller insect-like velocirons. Creatures with translucent skin floated gracefully through the air, while others whose forms seemed to shift and change walked on multiple legs. The sight was overwhelming, but Ryan kept his expression neutral. He reminded himself that showing fear would only invite ridicule. And ridicule was exactly what they got. As soon as the humans stepped onto the platform, laughter erupted from nearby groups. A group of Zorakians pointed at Ryan's standard-issue plasma rifle, their booming voices echoing through the chamber. "Is that supposed to be a weapon?" One of them sneered, his voice deep and guttural. "Looks like a child's toy." Jake's fists tightened at his sides, But Ryan placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Ignore them," he whispered. "They don't know what we're capable of." But the insults didn't stop there. A pair of Velocirons zipped past, moving so fast they were almost a blur. One of them paused briefly to glance at Samantha. "Your kind barely knows how to fly," it chirped mockingly. "What makes you think you can compete?" Samantha forced a polite smile, though her cheeks burned with embarrassment. She wanted to retort, to tell them that humanity had overcome impossible odds throughout history, but she held her tongue. Arguing wouldn't help. Instead, she scanned the crowd, taking note of every detail, the way the Zorakians moved with deliberate slowness, the flickering patterns on the Velocirons' bodies, the subtle gestures exchanged between members of other teams. Every piece of information could be useful later. Despite the mockery, Ryan and his team pressed on. They followed the organizers to a briefing room where the rules of the tournament were explained. Matches would take place in various arenas, each designed to test different aspects of combat. Teams would earn points based on performance, and the top 3 teams at the end of the tournament would receive recognition and resources from the Galactic Alliance. It sounded simple enough, but Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it than met the eye. Later that evening, back in their quarters, the team gathered to discuss their strategy. Jake paced back and forth, his frustration evident. "We're not going to last 5 minutes out there," he muttered. "Those Zorakians are twice our size, and the Velocirons are faster than anything we've ever seen." Ryan sighed. "I know it looks bad, but we can't give up before we even start. We have to trust in our training and stick to the plan." "And what plan is that?" Jake shot back. "Hope they trip over their own feet." Before Ryan could respond, Samantha spoke up. "There's something you need to know," she said quietly. All eyes turned to her. "We're not alone in this. There's another team coming, one that hasn't been announced yet. They'll join us during the tournament." Confusion rippled through the room. "Another team?" Ryan asked. "Who are they?" Samantha hesitated, then replied, "Let's just say they specialize in unconventional methods. Trust me, when they arrive, things will change." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Unconventional? What does that even mean?" "It means," Samantha said firmly, "that we need to hold our ground until then. No matter what happens, we can't let them break us." Ryan nodded slowly. Whether he fully believed Samantha or not, he knew she wouldn't lie about something like this. Whatever surprises lay ahead, they would face them together. As the night wore on, the team tried to rest, but sleep was elusive. Outside their windows, the arena loomed ominously, its lights casting long shadows across the walls. Somewhere within those walls, Earth's fate awaited. Little did they know, the true battle had yet to begin, and when it did, the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. Deep within the forests of Hokkaido, Japan, far from the bustling cities and prying eyes of the world, a group of elite warriors trained in absolute secrecy. These were not ordinary soldiers or athletes. They were Shinobi, modern-day ninjas, who had mastered ancient martial arts techniques while incorporating cutting-edge technology into their craft. Their existence was known only to a select few on Earth, and even fewer outside of it. They lived by a code of silence, loyalty, and precision, dedicating their lives to protecting humanity in ways no one else could. The leader of this team was Alex Nakamura, a man in his late 20s with sharp features and an intense gaze that seemed to pierce through anything or anyone. His dark hair was always tied back neatly, and his movements carried a fluidity that made him appear almost weightless. Alex had spent years honing his skills, studying everything from stealth tactics to psychological warfare. He wasn't just a fighter. He was a strategist, capable of reading situations faster than most people could blink. Under his leadership, the Shinobi team operated like a single organism, each member playing a crucial role in their missions. One of the key members of the team was Mia Tanaka, a woman with a quiet confidence that masked her incredible abilities. Mia specialized in illusions and deception, using advanced holographic devices to create distractions and confuse enemies. Her creativity knew no bounds, and she often came up with solutions that left others scratching their heads in awe. Though petite and soft-spoken, Mia's presence on the battlefield was undeniable. She could turn the tide of any fight with a single well-placed trick. Behind the scenes, the Shinobi relied heavily on Dr. Laura Bennett, a brilliant scientist who had dedicated her life to developing tools and technology specifically for the team. Laura was in her early 40s, with short blonde hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She worked tirelessly in her underground lab, crafting gadgets that blended seamlessly with the Shinobi's traditional methods. From adaptive camouflage suits that rendered them nearly invisible to neural dampeners designed to block psychic attacks, Laura's inventions gave the team an edge that no one else in the galaxy possessed. When news of the Galactic tournament reached Earth, the decision to involve the Shinobi was made swiftly but discreetly. The United Earth Defense Council understood that sending conventional soldiers alone wouldn't be enough. Humanity needed something unexpected, something that would catch their opponents off guard. Captain Ryan Cole and his team were kept largely in the dark about the plan, as were most members of the delegation traveling to Xylophia 7. Only Samantha Hayes, whose sharp mind had earned her a place among the strategists, was fully aware of the Shinobi's involvement. She acted as the liaison between the two groups, ensuring communication remained secure and seamless. As preparations continued, the Shinobi focused on refining their skills even further. Training sessions became more intense, pushing each member to their limits. Alex led rigorous exercises in hand-to-hand combat, teaching the team how to anticipate and counter moves they might encounter in the arena. Meanwhile, Mia practiced deploying her holograms in various scenarios, testing how effective they would be against different types of opponents. Even Laura joined in occasionally, running simulations to see how her gadgets performed under pressure. Despite the seriousness of their mission, there were moments of levity. During breaks, the team would gather around a small fire, sharing stories and laughter. Alex often teased Mia about her obsession with perfecting her illusions, calling her the Queen of Smoke and Mirrors. In return, Mia would joke about Alex's perfectionism, claiming he wouldn't rest until every leaf on every tree in the forest was aligned perfectly. These light-hearted exchanges helped ease the tension, reminding them all why they had chosen this path, not just for duty, but for each other. Back aboard the Stellar Dawn, Ryan and his team prepared for their arrival at the tournament site. The journey had been long and grueling, and tensions ran high. Jake Monroe, in particular, struggled to contain his frustration. He couldn't shake the memory of the Zerakians' mocking laughter or the smug expressions of the Velocirons. Every time he closed his eyes, he replayed those moments in his mind, fueling his determination to prove them wrong. Samantha noticed Jake's growing agitation and pulled him aside one evening. "You can't let them get to you," she said gently. "They're trying to rattle us, and if we fall for it, we've already lost." Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, but it's hard not to take it personally. We're representing Earth, and they're treating us like we don't belong here." Samantha nodded sympathetically. "I understand. But remember, we're not fighting alone. There's another piece to this puzzle, and when the time comes, it'll change everything." Though Jake didn't fully grasp what she meant, her words offered some comfort. For now, he focused on staying ready, knowing that the first match would be a test of endurance as much as skill. Meanwhile, the Shinobi team traveled separately, aboard a cloaked transport ship designed by Lavra. The vessel moved silently through space, undetectable by radar or visual scans. Inside, the atmosphere was calm yet charged with anticipation. Alex gathered his team for a final briefing before they reached Xylophia 7. "We don't have much time once we arrive," He began, his voice steady and commanding. "Our goal is simple. Stay hidden until the right moment. Then, when the opportunity arises, strike decisively." Mia nodded, her fingers brushing against the control panel of her holographic device. "And make sure they never see us coming," she added with a sly smile. Laura adjusted her glasses and chimed in. "Remember, your gear is calibrated for maximum efficiency. Use it wisely and trust in your training." The team exchanged determined glances. They had trained for years for moments like this, and they were ready. As the cloaked ship drew closer to the tournament site, Alex allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. He thought about the weight of their mission, not just to win, but to show the galaxy that humanity was more than it appeared. Beneath the surface, Earth harbored secrets and strengths that no one expected. And soon, the universe would witness them firsthand, unbeknownst to both teams. The stage was set for a clash unlike any the Galactic tournament had ever seen. While Ryan and his soldiers prepared to face ridicule and defeat, the Shinobi waited patiently in the shadows, their presence unknown to everyone except Samantha. The next few days would determine whether humanity could rise above its limitations or fade into obscurity among the stars. For now, the arena loomed ahead, its glowing energy fields casting eerie reflections on the faces of those who dared to enter. Somewhere deep inside, the seeds of legend were beginning to sprout. All it would take was one bold move, one unexpected twist, to turn the tides forever. The first round of the Galactic tournament began with a sense of unease hanging over Earth's delegation. Captain Ryan Cole and his team stood at the edge of the arena, their faces tense as they surveyed the battlefield. The arena was vast, its metallic floor gleaming under harsh overhead lights. Scattered throughout the space were obstacles, tall pillars, narrow platforms, and jagged rocks that provided both cover and challenges. To one side loomed the towering Zorakians, their armored exoskeletons glinting menacingly. On the other side darted the Velocirons, their lithe bodies moving with an agility that seemed almost unnatural. Ryan clenched his fists, trying to steady his nerves. He glanced at his team, Jake Monroe, Samantha Hayes, and two other soldiers, and gave them a firm nod. "Stay focused," he said, his voice low but steady. "We've trained for this. Let's show them what we're made of." But deep down, Ryan knew the odds were against them. Their weapons, though advanced by Earth's standards, paled in comparison to the energy-based firearms wielded by their opponents. The Zorakians carried pulsating cannons capable of tearing through solid steel, while the Velocirons moved so quickly they seemed to blur across the arena. It wasn't just the aliens' technology that intimidated Earth's team, it was their sheer confidence, their belief that humanity didn't stand a chance. When the match began, chaos erupted instantly. The Zorakians charged forward with brute force, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground beneath everyone's feet. The Velocirons zipped around like streaks of lightning, striking with precision before disappearing into the shadows. Earth's soldiers fought valiantly, firing their plasma rifles and dodging attacks as best they could. But it wasn't enough. Jake Monroe moved with determination, his eyes scanning the battlefield for any opening. He fired a shot at a Velociron, only for the creature to sidestep effortlessly and counter with a swipe of its clawed hand. Jake stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding another strike. Nearby, Samantha crouched behind a pillar, her mind racing as she tried to devise a strategy. She signaled to Ryan, urging him to regroup, but the Zorakians were already closing in. One of the human soldiers fell first, knocked unconscious by a powerful blast from a Zorakian cannon. Another followed moments later, overwhelmed by the speed and ferocity of the Velocirons. Ryan gritted his teeth as he watched his team crumble. He shouted orders, trying to rally them, but the situation was spiraling out of control. Even Jake, who had always been a beacon of resilience, looked shaken as he struggled to hold his ground. By the time the match ended, Earth's team was battered and defeated. The crowd roared with laughter, their jeers echoing through the arena. A group of Zorakians pointed at Ryan's plasma rifle, sneering openly. "Is this all you have?" One of them boomed, his voice dripping with mockery. "Your kind is weak." Jake clenched his fists, his face flushed with anger. He wanted to lash out, to shout back and defend his planet, but he forced himself to stay silent. Instead, he turned to Ryan, his green eyes blazing. "We can't let this happen again," he muttered. "If we go out there like this next time, we'll be humiliated even worse." Ryan sighed, running a hand through his short brown hair. "I know," he admitted, "but we did everything we could. They're just better than us." Samantha stepped forward, her expression calm but firm. "Not necessarily," she said quietly. Her words caught everyone's attention. "There's something you need to know." The team gathered around her, their curiosity outweighing their frustration. Samantha glanced around to ensure no one else was listening, then lowered her voice. "We're not alone here," she explained. "There's another team coming, one that hasn't been announced yet. They'll join us during the tournament." Jake frowned, his brow furrowing in confusion. "Another team? Who are they?" Samantha hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Let's just say they specialize in unconventional methods. Trust me, when they arrive, things will change." Ryan crossed his arms, his sharp blue eyes narrowing. "Unconventional? What does that mean?" "It means," Samantha replied firmly, "that we need to hold our ground until then. No matter what happens, we can't let them break us." Though none of them fully understood what she meant, the promise of reinforcements offered a glimmer of hope. For now they had no choice but to endure the ridicule and prepare for the next round. Back in their quarters, the team debriefed, analyzing their performance and identifying areas for improvement. Jake practiced his aim, determined to improve his accuracy against fast-moving targets. Samantha pored over data, studying footage of the match to predict how their opponents might adapt in future rounds. Ryan worked tirelessly to keep morale high, reminding his team that defeat wasn't the end, it was part of the journey. Meanwhile, aboard a cloaked transport ship hidden far from prying eyes, the Shinobi team prepared for their entrance. Alex Nakamura led his team with quiet authority, ensuring every member was ready for the challenges ahead. Mia Tanaka tested her holographic device, creating illusions that flickered and shifted with startling realism. Ethan Chun honed his close-quarters combat skills, practicing strikes and counters until his movements were flawless. Dr. Lavra Bennett joined them frequently, offering insights into the gear she had developed. She explained how their adaptive camouflage suits would allow them to blend seamlessly with the environment, making them nearly invisible to even the sharpest eyes. She also demonstrated the neural dampeners, devices designed to block psychic attacks, a precaution against telepathic species rumored to participate in later rounds. "We've given you the tools," Lavra told them confidently. "Now it's up to you to use them wisely." Alex listened intently, absorbing every detail. He knew the stakes were high, but he also trusted his team implicitly. Together, they had trained for years, mastering techniques that combined ancient martial arts with cutting-edge technology. They weren't just fighters, they were strategists, capable of adapting to any situation. As the days passed, word of Earth's humiliating defeat spread throughout the galaxy. The Zorakians boasted about their dominance, their booming voices carrying across the tournament grounds. The Velocerans buzzed excitedly, eager to face humanity again in the next round. Even the organizers seemed dismissive, treating Earth's participation as little more than a formality. But amidst the mockery, the Shinobi team remained patient. They waited for the perfect moment to reveal themselves, knowing that timing was everything. When the second round was announced, Samantha sent a signal to the cloaked ship. It was time. Back in the arena, Captain Ryan Cole and his team braced themselves for another battle. As the announcer called for Earth's fighters to step forward, silence fell over the crowd. Everyone expected to see the same defeated soldiers from the first round. Instead, 5 figures emerged from the shadows, their black suits blending seamlessly with the dim lighting. At first glance, they appeared ordinary until they vanished completely. The audience erupted into murmurs of disbelief. The Zorakians leaned forward in their seats, their glowing eyes narrowing in confusion. The Velocirons buzzed anxiously, their sharp movements betraying their unease. For the first time in the tournament's history, uncertainty hung thick in the air. Ryan and his team watched from the sidelines, their jaws dropping in astonishment. They had known reinforcements were coming, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The Shinobi moved with an eerie grace, their forms melting into the environment like ghosts. Each step was deliberate, each movement calculated. They weren't just fighting, they were performing, turning the entire arena into their stage. The match began without warning. The Krillians, Earth's opponents for this round, lumbered into the arena with menacing growls. Standing nearly 10 feet tall, their thick scales glinted under the lights as they swung their massive claws. To the casual observer, they seemed unstoppable. But the Shinobi saw something else: gaps in their defenses, blind spots where their bulky bodies couldn't turn quickly enough, and predictable patterns in their movements. Mia deployed her holograms, first creating a swarm of glowing orbs that distracted the Krillians with bursts of light and sound. The reptilian warriors swung wildly at the projections, their roars growing louder as frustration set in. Meanwhile, Alex slipped past their guards unnoticed, delivering precise strikes that left the creatures reeling. Ethan followed up with swift kicks, disabling one opponent after another. By the time the final Krillian collapsed, the crowd was silent. The Shinobi reappeared, their forms materializing out of thin air as they deactivated their cloaking devices. Alex stepped forward, his expression calm and composed, as if he had merely completed a routine training exercise. Behind him, Mia and Ethan exchanged satisfied glances, while the rest of the team stood ready for whatever came next. The announcer's voice broke the silence, trembling slightly as he struggled to process what had just happened. "Earth wins," he declared. His words met with a mix of gasps and hesitant applause. The aliens in the stands exchanged bewildered looks, their earlier mockery replaced by uneasy respect. Back in their quarters, Ryan and his team processed the events of the day. For the first time since arriving at the tournament, they felt a glimmer of hope. The laughter and ridicule that had once followed them were replaced by cautious admiration. Humanity had proven it wasn't just a novelty, it was a contender. The second round of the Galactic tournament began with a wave of anticipation rippling through the arena. Spectators from across the galaxy filled the stands, their voices rising in a cacophony of excitement and curiosity. The first match had ended in humiliation for Earth soldiers, leaving humanity as a laughingstock among the advanced alien species. But now something was different. As the announcer called for Earth's fighters to step forward, silence fell over the crowd. No one knew what to expect. Instead of Captain Ryan Cole and his team entering the arena, 5 figures emerged from the shadows. They moved with an eerie grace, their black suits blending seamlessly with the dim lighting. At first glance, they appeared ordinary until they vanished completely. One moment, they were there. The next, they were gone, leaving only faint ripples. In the air behind them, the audience erupted into murmurs of disbelief. Even the Zorakians, who prided themselves on their unshakable confidence, leaned forward in their seats, their glowing eyes narrowing in confusion. The Velocirons buzzed anxiously, their sharp movements betraying their unease. For the first time in the tournament's history, uncertainty hung thick in the air. Alex Nakamura led the Shinobi team, his mind racing as he assessed the battlefield. The arena was vast, its metallic floor reflecting the harsh overhead lights. Scattered throughout the space were obstacles, tall pillars, narrow platforms, and jagged rocks that provided both cover and challenges. Alex signaled to his team silently, using subtle hand gestures that only they could understand. Each member nodded, melting into the environment like ghosts. Their opponents for this round were the Krillians, a reptilian species known for their brute strength and razor-sharp claws. Standing nearly 10 feet tall, the Krillians lumbered into the arena with menacing growls, their thick scales glinting under the lights. To the casual observer, they seemed unstoppable. But Alex and his team saw something else: gaps in there. Defenses, blind spots where their bulky bodies couldn't turn quickly enough, and predictable patterns in their movements. Mia Tanaka was the first to act. Using her holographic device, she created a series of illusions, a swarm of glowing orbs that hovered around the Krillians, distracting them with bursts of light and sound. The reptilian warriors swung wildly at the projections, their roars growing louder as frustration set in. Meanwhile, Alex darted between the pillars, closing the distance without making a sound. His adaptive camouflage suit rendered him nearly invisible, allowing him to slip past the Krillians' guards unnoticed. When Alex struck, it was with precision and speed. He leaped onto the back of one Krillian, driving electrified kunai into the soft flesh beneath its armored scales. The creature let out a guttural scream, thrashing violently as electricity coursed through its body. Before the other Krillians could react, Mia unleashed another illusion, this time creating a duplicate of Alex that flickered in and out of existence. The duplicates moved erratically, confusing the Krillians further and drawing their attention away from the real threat. Jake Monroe watched from the sidelines, his jaw clenched tightly. Though he hadn't been part of the initial plan, Samantha Hayes had insisted he stay close in case reinforcements were needed. As the match unfolded, Jake found himself mesmerized by the Shinobi's tactics. Their movements were unlike anything he'd ever seen, fluid, calculated, and utterly unpredictable. It was as if they weren't just fighting. They were dancing, turning the entire arena into their stage. Back in the command center, Samantha monitored the battle closely, her fingers flying across the control panel. She relayed updates to Alex and his team via encrypted channels, feeding them real-time data about the Krillians' positions and vulnerabilities. "One of them is favoring its left side," she whispered into her headset. "Exploit it." Alex acknowledged the message with a slight nod, though no one else could see him. He signaled to another member of the team, Ethan Chen, who specialized in close-quarters combat. Ethan moved like a shadow, slipping behind the injured Krillian and delivering a swift kick to its knee joint. The creature collapsed with a thunderous crash, its massive body shaking the ground beneath it. The remaining Krillians roared in fury, charging blindly toward the illusions. Mia grinned as she manipulated the holograms, leading the creatures on a chaotic chase across the arena. There, heavy footsteps echoed loudly, drowning out the faint sounds of the Shinobi moving in the background. One by one, the Krillians fell, overwhelmed by the combination of stealth, strategy, and sheer unpredictability. By the time the final Krillian hit the ground, the arena was silent. The crowd stared in stunned disbelief, their cheers frozen in their throats. Slowly, the Shinobi reappeared, their forms materializing out of thin air as they deactivated their cloaking devices. Alex stepped forward, his expression calm and composed, as if he had merely completed a routine training exercise. Behind him, Mia and Ethan exchanged satisfied glances, while the rest of the team stood ready for whatever came next. The announcer's voice broke the silence, trembling slightly as he struggled to process what had just happened. "Earth wins," he declared, his words met with a mix of gasps and hesitant applause. The aliens in the stands exchanged bewildered looks, their earlier mockery replaced by uneasy respect. The Zorakians shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their metallic exoskeletons clinking softly. The Velocirons zipped nervously around the arena, their buzzing wings creating a low hum that filled the air. Captain Ryan Cole watched the scene unfold from the sidelines, his heart pounding with a mixture of pride and awe. He had always known humanity was capable of greatness, but seeing it displayed so vividly, so unexpectedly, left him speechless. Samantha approached him, a small smile playing on her lips. "Told you we had a secret weapon," she said simply. Ryan nodded, still struggling to find words. "I didn't think it would be this." Jake joined them moments later, his usual gruff demeanor softened by admiration. "They're incredible," he admitted, his green eyes shining with newfound respect. "I've never seen anything like it." Samantha crossed her arms, her gaze fixed on the Shinobi as they exited the arena. "They're more than incredible. They're our best chance at surviving this tournament. But don't get too comfortable. There are tougher opponents ahead, and word will spread fast about what just happened. Everyone will be watching us now." As the Shinobi returned to their quarters, the weight of their victory settled over them. Alex gathered the team for a quick debrief, his tone serious despite the success they had achieved. "We did well," he acknowledged, "but this is just the beginning. The other teams will adapt, and they'll come at us harder next time. We need to stay sharp." Mia nodded, already tinkering with her holographic device. "I can add some new tricks to the system," she offered. "Something they won't expect." Ethan cracked his knuckles, a determined look in his eyes. "Whatever they throw at us, we'll handle it. Just like we always do." Though the team remained focused, they couldn't ignore the ripple effect their performance had caused. News of Earth's mysterious warriors spread quickly throughout the galaxy, sparking debates and speculation among the competitors. Some dismissed the Shinobi as a fluke, convinced that their success was a one-time occurrence. Others viewed them as a legitimate threat, analyzing every detail of the match in hopes of uncovering their secrets. Among those watching closely were the Zorakians. Their leader, a towering figure named Varrock, slammed his fist against the railing in frustration. "This changes nothing," he growled, his voice deep and rumbling. "They may have won this round, but they'll break under pressure." His second in command, a smaller but equally intimidating Zorakian named Thulok, tilted his head thoughtfully. "Perhaps," he replied, "but we should not underestimate them. Those humans fight like shadows, unpredictable and relentless." Varrock snorted dismissively. "Shadows cannot stand against steel." Meanwhile, the Velocirons buzzed excitedly, their multifaceted eyes gleaming with intrigue. Their leader, a sleek and agile female named Zyron, hovered above the group, her wings beating rapidly. "Interesting," she chirped. "Very interesting. Let's see how long their tricks last." Back in their quarters, Ryan and his team processed the events of the day. For the first time since arriving at the tournament, they felt a glimmer of hope. The laughter and ridicule that had once followed them were replaced by cautious respect. Humanity had proven it wasn't just a novelty, it was a contender. But as night fell over the arena, the reality of their situation became clear. The Shinobi's victory had bought them time, but it had also painted a target on their backs. Every team would now be gunning for them, eager to prove that Earth's triumph was nothing more than luck. The road ahead would be treacherous, filled with challenges far greater than anything they had faced before. For now, however, the Shinobi allowed themselves a brief moment of satisfaction. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was more than meets the eye. Beneath the surface lay strength, ingenuity, and resilience, the qualities that defined Earth itself. And as the stars twinkled beyond the arena's windows, the seeds of legend continued to grow, waiting to bloom in the battles yet to come. The victory of the Shinobi team sent shockwaves through the Galactic tournament. What had started as ridicule and doubt toward humanity quickly turned into cautious respect, and in some cases, outright fear. The aliens who had laughed at Earth's primitive weapons now whispered among themselves, trying to piece together how a group of seemingly ordinary humans could move like shadows and strike with such precision. The Zorakians grumbled under their breath, their metallic exoskeletons clinking as they shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Velocerans zipped nervously around the arena, their buzzing wings creating an anxious hum that filled the air. Captain Ryan Cole and his soldiers felt the shift in attitude immediately. Where once they had been met with mockery, they now encountered wary glances and hesitant nods. Even the tournament organizers, who had initially dismissed Earth's participation as a mere formality, began paying closer attention. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer an afterthought. It was a force to be reckoned with. Despite the newfound respect, Ryan knew better than to let his guard down. He gathered his team for a meeting in their quarters, pacing back and forth as he spoke. "Listen up," he said firmly. "We may have won one battle, but this isn't over. Not by a long shot. Every team out there is watching us now, analyzing our every move. They'll come at us harder, faster, and smarter. We need to stay ready." Jake Monroe nodded, his green eyes sharp with determination. "They're probably already planning ways to counter the Shinobi," he added. "We can't rely on surprise alone anymore." Samantha Hayes leaned forward, her glasses reflecting the dim light of the room. "Exactly," she agreed. "Which is why we need to adapt. The Shinobi showed us what's possible, but we also have to support them. That means being prepared for anything, whether it's a direct assault or something more subtle." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Then we train, harder than ever. If they want to test us, we'll show them what we're made of." Meanwhile, the Shinobi team worked tirelessly to prepare for the challenges ahead. Alex Nakamura led intense training sessions, pushing his team to their limits. They practiced new formations, tested upgraded versions of their gear, and refined their strategies. Mia Tanaka spent hours perfecting her holographic illusions, adding layers of complexity that would confuse even the most advanced opponents. Ethan Chun focused on close-quarters combat, honing his ability to take down larger adversaries with minimal effort. Each member of the team brought something unique to the table, and together, they formed a unit that was greater than the sum of its parts. Dr. Laura Bennett joined them frequently, offering insights into the technology she had developed. She explained how their adaptive camouflage suits could be adjusted to mimic different environments, making them nearly impossible to detect. She also introduced neural dampeners designed to block psychic attacks, a precaution against telepathic species rumored to participate in later rounds. "You've got the skills," she told them with a confident smile. "This gear just gives you an extra edge." Alex listened intently, absorbing every detail. He knew that preparation was key, but he also understood the importance of flexibility. No matter how much they planned, the arena always threw unexpected challenges their way. "Stay sharp," he reminded his team, "and trust each other. That's what will get us through." As the tournament progressed, the matches grew increasingly difficult. The third round pitted Earth against the Korvath, a hulking insectoid species known for their incredible strength and hive mind coordination. Their bodies were covered in thick chitin, and their multiple limbs allowed them to attack from all angles. To make matters worse, they communicated telepathically, meaning they could anticipate each other's moves without speaking. When the match began, the Korvath immediately surrounded the Shinobi, their glowing eyes scanning the area for any sign of movement. Alex signaled for his team to split up, using the arena's obstacles to create confusion. Mia deployed her holograms, creating dozens of false images that darted between the pillars and platforms. The Korvath lunged at the illusions, their claws tearing through thin air as they tried to pinpoint the real targets. Ethan took advantage of the chaos, striking from behind and disabling one of the creatures with a well-placed kick to its joint. But the Korvath adapted quickly, coordinating their attacks with eerie precision. Just as Alex moved in for another strike, one of the creatures swung its massive claw, narrowly missing him. The impact sent shockwaves through the arena, shaking the ground beneath their feet, realizing they couldn't win through stealth alone. Alex activated his neural dampener. A faint hum filled the air as the device disrupted the Corveth's telepathic link, causing their movements to falter. Seizing the opportunity, Mia unleashed a blinding flash of light from her holographic projector, disorienting the creatures further. With their defenses weakened, the Shinobi struck with relentless efficiency, taking down one Corveth after another. By the time the final creature collapsed, the crowd erupted into cheers. The aliens who had once doubted humanity now roared with approval, their respect evident in their applause. Even the Zerakians, who had mocked Earth so openly, clapped reluctantly, their expressions a mix of admiration and frustration. Back in their quarters, the Shinobi celebrated quietly, knowing that their work was far from over. Alex gathered his team for a debrief, his tone serious despite their success. "We did well," he said, "but don't let it go to your heads. Every victory makes us a bigger target. The next round will be even tougher." Mia nodded, her fingers brushing against her holographic device. "I'll keep tweaking this thing," she promised. "There's still room for improvement." Ethan cracked his knuckles, a determined look in his eyes. "Bring it on," he said confidently. "We've handled everything they've thrown at us so far. We'll handle whatever comes next." Word of Earth's victories spread quickly throughout the galaxy. The image of the mysterious human warriors dominated discussions among the competitors. Some viewed them as a threat, while others saw them as an inspiration. The Veloceran leader, Zarin, hovered above her group, her multifaceted eyes gleaming with intrigue. "Fascinating," she chirped. "Their tactics are unlike anything we've seen before." Her second-in-command, a sleek male named Vrick, buzzed impatiently. "It doesn't matter how clever they are," he countered. "Speed will always win." Zarin tilted her head thoughtfully. "Perhaps, but underestimating them would be a mistake." As the days passed, the tension in the arena grew palpable. The final rounds loomed ahead, promising battles that would test the limits of skill, strategy, and endurance. Captain Ryan Cole found himself reflecting on how far they had come. From being laughed at to earning respect, humanity had proven it belonged among the stars. But Ryan knew that true greatness wasn't measured by victories alone. It was about resilience, adaptability, and the willingness to fight for something greater than oneself. One evening, as the team gathered to review footage of their previous matches, Jake approached Samantha. "Do you think we can really do this?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "Win the whole thing, I mean." Samantha looked up from her tablet, her expression thoughtful. "I don't know," she admitted. "But I do know this. We've already shown the galaxy what we're capable of. Whether we win or lose, we've earned their respect. And that's worth more than any trophy." Jake nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "Yeah," he said, "you're right." As the stars twinkled beyond the arena's windows, the stage was set for the ultimate showdown. Humanity had faced ridicule, doubt, and overwhelming odds, and yet they had risen above it all. The final battles would push them to their limits, testing not only their strength, but also their unity and resolve. For now, though, the Shinobi and their allies stood united, ready to face whatever the galaxy threw their way. The legend of Earth's warriors continued to grow, one step closer to becoming a story told across the stars for generations to come. The final round of the Galactic tournament was unlike anything Earth's team had faced before. The arena for this match was suspended in zero gravity, a vast, spherical chamber surrounded by swirling nebulae that cast eerie colors across the battlefield. Floating platforms and jagged asteroids dotted the space, creating a chaotic environment where traditional combat tactics would be useless. To make matters worse, their opponents were the Solaria telepathic species, capable of predicting movements and countering attacks before they even began. As Earth's fighters prepared to enter the arena, Captain Ryan Cole addressed his team. "One last time. This is it," he said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "We've come so far, and now it's time to show them what we're made of. Trust each other, trust yourselves, and remember why we're here." Jake Monroe nodded, gripping his weapon tightly. "Let's finish this," he said firmly. Though he wasn't part of the Shinobi team, he had trained alongside them and knew their strategies well. He felt ready, or as ready as anyone could be against an enemy that could read minds. Samantha Hayes adjusted her headset, ensuring the communication link with the Shinobi was secure. "Stay sharp," she reminded everyone. "They'll try to break us apart. Don't let them." Alex Nakamura led the Shinobi team into the arena, his calm demeanor masking the storm of thoughts racing through his mind. This was the moment they had been preparing for, the ultimate test of their skills and teamwork. As they floated into position, Alex signaled for silence. The Solari were already waiting, their translucent forms glowing faintly as they hovered effortlessly in the zero-gravity environment. Their large, unblinking eyes seemed to pierce through the darkness, scanning for weaknesses. The match began without warning. The Solari moved first, their psychic abilities allowing them to anticipate the Shinobi's initial positions. Energy blasts shot through the air, narrowly missing Alex and his team as they dispersed into the shadows. Using their adaptive camouflage suits, the Shinobi blended seamlessly with the dim lighting, becoming nearly invisible against the backdrop of the Nebulae. Mia Tanaka wasted no time deploying her holographic illusions. She created dozens of duplicate images of her teammates, each flickering in and out of existence as they darted between the floating platforms. The Solari hesitated, their psychic senses overwhelmed by the sheer number of targets. For the first time, their perfect coordination faltered. Seizing the opportunity, Ethan Chun launched himself toward one of the Solari, using a grappling hook to close the distance. His movements were precise, his strikes aimed at the creature's exposed joints. But just as he landed a blow, the Solari retaliated with a burst of telekinetic energy, sending Ethan tumbling backward. He managed to grab onto a nearby asteroid, stabilizing himself before launching another attack. Meanwhile, Alex focused on disrupting the Solari's psychic link. Activating his neural dampeners, he created a field of interference around his team, blocking the aliens' ability to predict their moves. The effect was immediate. The Solari's coordinated attacks became disjointed, their once flawless strategy unraveling before their eyes. But the Solari weren't about to give up. They regrouped quickly, surrounding the Shinobi and unleashing a barrage of energy blasts. The arena lit up with flashes of light as the humans countered with electrified kunai and precision strikes. Mia used her holograms to create false trails, leading the Solari into traps set by Alex and Ethan. Each member of the team worked in perfect harmony, their movements fluid and calculated. From the sidelines, Jake watched anxiously, ready to step in if needed. Samantha monitored the battle closely, relaying updates to the Shinobi via encrypted channels. "One of them is weakening," she called out. "Focus your attacks on the leader." Alex acknowledged the message with a slight nod, signaling to his team. Together, they converged on the lead Solari, whose translucent body shimmered faintly as it struggled to maintain its psychic defenses. Mia unleashed a blinding flash of light from her projector, disorienting the alien long enough for Alex to deliver a decisive strike. The Solari collapsed, its glowing form fading into darkness. Without their leader, the remaining Solari lost cohesion. Their attacks became erratic, their movements clumsy. Taking advantage of the chaos, Ethan and Mia delivered a series of swift, coordinated blows, disabling one opponent after another. By the time the final Solari fell, the arena was eerily silent. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices echoing through the chamber. Even the Zerakians, who had mocked Earth so openly, stood and applauded, their expressions a mix of admiration and disbelief. The Velocirons buzzed excitedly, their wings fluttering in approval. For the first time in the tournament's history, humanity had proven itself not just as participants, but as champions. Back in their quarters, the team celebrated quietly, their exhaustion evident but overshadowed by a sense of accomplishment. Alex gathered his team for a final debrief, his tone calm yet filled with pride. "You did it," he said simply. "Every one of you gave everything you had, and it paid off." Mia smiled, her fingers brushing against her holographic device. "And we still have some tricks left," she joked, earning a chuckle from the group. Ethan cracked his knuckles, his usual confident grin returning. "If they ever invite us back, we'll show them even more." Captain Ryan Cole joined them moments later, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. "You've done something incredible," he told the Shinobi. "Not just for Earth, but for all of humanity. People will remember this day for generations." Samantha nodded, her glasses reflecting the soft glow of the room's lights. "We came here as underdogs," she said, "and we're leaving as legends." As the stars twinkled beyond the arena's windows, the reality of their achievement sank in. Humanity had risen above ridicule and doubt, proving that strength wasn't always about size or technology. It was about heart, ingenuity, and the willingness to fight for something greater than oneself. The Galactic tournament had been a test of more than just combat skills. It had been a test of character. And humanity had passed with flying colors that in the days that followed, news of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy. Stories of the mysterious human warriors who fought like shadows and struck with precision became the stuff of legend. The Zerakians, once so quick to mock, now spoke of Earth with grudging respect. The Velocirons zipped excitedly from planet to planet, sharing tales of the tournament's most unexpected champions. For Alex and his team, life returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after such an extraordinary event. They continued their training, knowing that their mission to protect humanity was far from over. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of peace, savoring the knowledge that they had changed the way the galaxy viewed Earth forever. And as the stellar dawn carried the delegation home, Captain Ryan Cole stood on the observation deck, gazing at the stars. He thought about the journey they had taken, from being laughed at to earning respect, and realized that the true victory wasn't the trophy or the applause. It was the unity they had forged, the resilience they had shown, and the hope they had inspired. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, and nothing would ever be the same again.